And for more on those games and to discuss strengths and weaknesses of the quarterbacks involved, one of our resident quarterbacks, former pro Danny Kanell, joining us now here on CBS Sports HQ. Danny, let's start with the AFC opener between the Bengals and the Titans. A lot of people very impressed with the evolution of Joe Burrow this season. The new Joe Cool to many fans. For you, what is his biggest strength?
So, Jeremy, this is one of those ones where we need to invent a word for it because I'm kind of tired of the cliches, the swagger. I think he's got that. He toes that line between confident and cocky really well. But I went with clutch. Like, it's another cliche, the clutch gene. Whatever term you want to use for what you look for in an intangible in the quarterback, Joe Burrow has it. I mean, we saw it coming into the game last week. Remember, we were sitting there in studio. I'm like, did you see his jacket today? He's coming in with this like puffy snow jacket, but it's like, it's swagged out. It wasn't just your normal one. You got to be confident in yourself to be able to pull that off. Then after with the tinted shades, I know it sounds like it doesn't matter, but it does sort of translate to the field. And if you look what he did down the home stretch of the season, where he had the 2-week stretch against Baltimore and Kansas City, threw for 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 900 yards, 900 plus yards in those performances when they needed them, and then tops it off, follows it up with a pretty impressive performance against the Raiders in a playoff game. It's the definition of coolness, and he doesn't get rattled, even with an offensive line, which hasn't been great. And I love the mindset of him saying, you know what? We're not done yet. We're going to get used to this. This is the area code we want to be in, where we're talking about making playoffs, and we shouldn't be celebrating because this is where we're going to be all the time. So the intangible aspect to Joe Burrow's game that I'll call clutch is what makes his game so special.
Our Phil Simms compared him to a young Joe Montana, who's also a guy that was known for being pretty clutch as well. Okay, so when you look at his other side of his game, Danny, what's the biggest weakness for you?
He doesn't have many. I mean, I think one that he can't really help is the lack of protection. His offensive line has to do better, and that's a concern for me when he travels on the road in crowd noise. But really, it's experience, the lack of experience in the playoffs, playing a lot of football. He really, hasn't played that much football yet and very little in the playoffs, and now he's got to go on the road. And as cool as he is, there's a different speed. I'll never forget my rookie year. I was talking to Steve DeBerg, who was my quarterback coach, and he said there are 3 speeds in the NFL. There's preseason speed, there's regular season speed, and there's postseason speed. And you have to get used to each level that you're playing in. So I think that's the only thing he lacks, and the future is bright for him. And, they are an underdog in this situation. I would not be surprised, Jeremy, if the Bengals won this game, but I think if they do, the run comes to a stop the following week against either the Bills or the Chiefs. But this Bengals team has a bright future ahead of them. It's because of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow's done a fantastic job with them over the course of this season. Certainly a candidate for Comeback Player of the Year. Danny, as you look at the lines for this weekend and some of the prop wagers, what's the best prop wager for Burrow that you've seen so far?
So I'm going to ride that the trend of what he's been doing. He's been on a tear, and I'm going to take over his passing yardage total. It's pretty high at 275.5, but I think a bunch of different ways this could play out. I mean, one, if I think they're going to win the game, I think he's going to have a massive game. He's got incredible talent out there working with him on the field, and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, some great targets to work with. They've had such a great connection. And then if they are down, if they are getting beat, I think he can bring them from behind, and there could be some garbage time yards. But either way, I think Joe Burrow goes over his passing yardage total. I think he's been delivering all season long. I don't think that'll change. Even if he does get pressured, he's mobile enough. He's able to improvise. He can make plays on the outside. So I would go over his passing yardage total.
When you look at the quarterback matchup between these two teams, it actually looks to be a fairly even matchup, even though one quarterback has a lot of experience and the other one is just in his second season. The other side of
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.